Hello, my name is Joshua Ngui from Team 17, and today I will be discussing our project, Bringing It All Together, Conway's Game of Life using Web Technologies. So first, I'll be giving an introduction to our project. We tasked ourselves with designing a working simulation of Conway's Game of Life, which we had involved an interactive game grid with dynamic and toggleable cell states, an implementation of a user account system that stores user data in a database, and that contains a visually engaging UI that uses CSS styling. We went into this project with the goal of gaining experience with various web technologies, including the use of PHP and MySQL for the website backend, and HTML, JavaScript, and CSS for the website frontend. Now I'll be going over some highlights of our code. So the solution we created to finish our project was to create 6 web pages. A landing page, that will be the first page users visit. An account creation page where new users will go to make accounts. A sign up confirmation page that will tell users if account creation was successful. A user dashboard page that users who log in will be redirected to. A simulation page where the actual game of life is hosted, and an admin dashboard page where admins can go and look up user information. These web pages also make use of additional code files, including front-end code to validate new account info that a new user provides, code to invite a friend to the website via email and to add a wishlist item, backend code to add a user suggestion as a wishlist item to the database, front-end code to determine if an admin is suspending or banning a user account, and backend code to suspend or ban a user from the website. Here are some key design features we use for our program. One feature we utilized was PHP sessions, namely the session superglobal, which we use to store user information across pages, as well as the session unset and session destroy functions, which we use when logging new users in. We also made use of MySQL, namely the database that's hosted on GSU's COD server. We use MySQL to store account information, such as usernames, password hashes, and emails. Additionally, we made use of GET and POST requests. We made use of GET queries when redirecting to other web pages to inform users of the reason for redirection. For example, when users are redirected to index.php with a GET request where error equals true, the web page informs the user that the given login information was invalid. We also made POST requests when accessing data from or adding data to the database. Finally, we utilize relative length units in our CSS styling for a consistent look across screen sizes. Finally, I'll be discussing our user interface for our website. Our UI elements are interactable elements that come in the form of CSS stylized buttons, all of which use JavaScript events. These include an enter simulation button on the landing page to log users in, a create account button on the landing page for users to make new accounts, a sign up button on the account creation page to create a new user account, a return to login button on both the account creation and sign up confirmation pages to return users to the landing page, a retry account creation button on the sign up confirmation page if the username they provided was already in use, an invite friend button on the user dashboard to invite a friend to the website via email, an add to wishlist button to submit a suggestion as a wishlist item, a sign up button on the user and admin dashboards to log out and return to the landing page, a begin simulation button on the user dashboard to go to the simulation page, and finally, suspend user and ban user buttons on the admin dashboard page to moderate user accounts. And now I'll be giving an in-depth discussion of our code. So first of all, we have the index.php file, which provides login functionality. The form element here is what we use for logging users in. We have a create account button element that, when clicked, redirects users to the account creation page. And in addition, we have an error message variable that we use to display an error message in case of invalid login. As for this file's PHP code, we make use of the session unset and session destroy functions to clear data from the previous login. And in addition, this code displays an error message if the previous login was invalid or if the user trying to log in is suspended or banned. Next, we have the create account.php file, which is used for account creation. So for the HTML code, you have a form element that is used to collect new user account information. And within this form, we have input fields, and each input field has a corresponding pair. For example, we have the username field here and a confirm username field here. There is additional functionality provided to this file by an external JavaScript file. As for this external JavaScript file, due to it, each pair of input fields in the form must match. For example, the value in the username field and the value in the confirm username field must be equal. If a mismatch is found, the form element is prevented from submitting. And in addition, a corresponding error message is displayed. To bind this function to the form element, the add event listener JavaScript function is used. Here we have the signup confirm.php file, which is used to display the results of account creation. In order to display the results, we have a message variable, which contains a message regarding the result of account creation. In addition, we have a retry account creation button element that will display if an error occurred with account creation. As for the PHP code in this file, the first time an account is made, a table is created to store user data. During the creation of this table, we also create an admin account. The code will then check if the provided username was already in use. If the username is already taken, an error message is displayed. However, the username is unique, an account is created with the provided info. Here we have the user page.php function, which is the user dashboard. Within a user's dashboard, the invite form allows users to send an invite to a friend via email. And there's also a link to take users to the simulation page. Here, the wish added alert variable is used to inform users that their wish list item was uploaded. This can be done with the wish list form, which allows users to upload a suggestion as a wish list item. At the bottom here, we have the sign up button element, which returns users to the landing page. As for the PHP code, it checks if the provided login info is valid. If the username isn't in the server, or if the passwords don't match, the user is redirected to the landing page and an error message is displayed. If the user is banned or suspended, the error message will make mention. If the login info, however, is valid, it is stored within the current session. And if the user is an admin, they will be redirected to the admin dashboard. If a wish was just added to the database, an alert will be displayed detailing as such. Now, this functionality is also supplemented by the useractions.js file, which provides user dashboard functionality. For example, the friend invite feature redirects to a mail to link via this function, and the wish list adding feature requires a non-white space input, which is provided by this function. Both of these functions are bound to form elements via the add event listener JavaScript function. Adding wishlist items to the database is done via the add wishlist.php file, which provides wishlist functionality. When the first wish item is added, a table is created to store wishlist items. And after the attempted creation of this table, a wish the wish that the user provided is added, along with a marker signifying the account of the user making the wish. After it is added to the database, the user is redirected to the user dashboard, where the user is informed of the successful push to the database. Now, if a user at the login page provides account details matching that of the admin, they'll be directed to the admin dashboard page, which is coded in the admin page.php file. Within this file, the user banned alert variable is used to inform admins that a user has just been banned/suspended. Displayed on this page is a table that shows information for each user in the database, including their ID, username, and email. The error message variable is used to inform admins if there was an error with banning/suspending a user. This moderation is done via a form element, which is used to either ban or suspend a specific user based on their username. At the bottom of the page, we have a sign out button element that returns admins to the landing page. As for this file's PHP code, if a non-admin user tries to access this page, they'll be redirected away. If a user was just banned/suspended, the admin will receive a confirmation message. If there was an error with banning/suspending user, an error message will be displayed. A special case of this is if the admin attempted to ban/suspend their own account, in which case a unique message will be displayed. As for the table data is generated for each user, displaying their information, as well as whether or not they're suspended and or banned. The moderation of users is in part facilitated by the admin actions.js file, which sets the moderation mode. If the suspend user button is clicked, the admin's moderation request is marked as a suspension. However, if the ban user button is clicked, the request is marked as a banning. Once again, the add event listener JavaScript function is used to bind these functions to the button elements. User moderation is also facilitated via the moderateuser.php file, which blocks users from access to the site. If a non-admin user tries to access this page as well, they'll be redirected again. If the username that the admin provides isn't in the server, the admin will be redirected to the dashboard and an error message will be displayed. If the admin attempts to suspend or ban their own account, a unique error message will be displayed. The selected user's corresponding SQL entry will be marked as having been suspended or as having been banned. And after the moderation process is complete, admins will be redirected back to the admin dashboard, where a confirmation message will be displayed stating that the user was successfully suspended or banned. Now, I will briefly discuss the collaboration and dialogue between our team. As for dialogue, we mainly use Discord for communication between each other. And as for collaboration, we made use of GitHub to both share and consolidate our files and code. Now, finally, we will demonstrate a demo run of our project, which you can find at this link. A creator's page about us can be found here, and the GitHub for our project can be found here.
I'm Luis Gonzalez. I'm going to demo the project and show some of the code. So this is the main page. That is the beginning of the project pages. So this page has a link to the creators page, which has all the necessary information, including GitHub links and such. From this page, you can create an account. So I'll just create one with whatever. So that form has validation that ensures all the inputs are valid. And this created account is then sent to the database so the information can be used for logging in and storing other account data. So if I log in to that, you can see it's successfully logged into the account with the same username and password. From this page, we can invite a friend using email. And if I click this, it'll automatically open up using a mail to link, and it automatically gets the page from whatever page it is hosted on. This will change dynamically. Go back. Here you can also add wishlist items. I think this was on an old version of the project specifications and it got removed after, but it still works. So there that gets sent to the database. And from here you can sign out, which will go back to the previous page, or you can go into the Game of Life simulation. So this is the main page, main Game of Life page built using React components. Here you can see the Game of Life grid, which is variable in size depending on the height and width variables you set in the code for the page. The grid is made using buttons that have changing background colors, and they use flex boxes for layout and organization. So I can click on any cell and change the state from white to black, meaning it's alive. The next generation button goes forward 1 generation, whereas 23 generations goes forward 23 generations. Then reset will clear the game and reset the generation counter. And the patterns drop down will allow loading various patterns, including glider. We have a couple oscillators and a static. I'll just show these. Then I can also use the start game button to have generations run over time to simulate the game of life. The stop game button stops that. So for the code for this, some of the code for this page, we use functions that. So most of these functions on this page calls requests from a PHP page. So you have like next generation, 22 generations, essentially everything that the buttons do. So it calls PHP page, calls functions from a PHP page that do the actual main logic. So this function returns all the cells of the next generation by checking whether each cell lives or dies. It does it through the determine fate function, which checks the cells at the past argument location by row and column. It gets the neighbors and it uses that information to decide whether it's going to be dead or alive on the next generation. So this uses this function checks every single cell and it calls these functions for that. Back on the page. Finally, the logout function will take the user back to this first page. On this login page, you can also access the admin account, which will take you to the admin dashboard. You can see all the users and the user IDs, usernames, emails, and some other information about them. Here we can enter a user to suspend or ban them. So I'll do that on the account we created earlier. I'll ban them. Then I'll go back, and if I try to log into that same account, you can see in the database their status is banned and it will not allow us to log in as that user. So that's everything for the demo.
So, in conclusion, our project made use of several facets of PHP, MySQL, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, including the use of the session start PHP function and the session PHP superglobal, the making of MySQL requests using PHP, and the use of GET and POST requests to send data to different web pages. Through this project, we've gained a deeper understanding of React and PHP. Namely, we've learned how to create and interweave React functions, and we've gained more experience with PHP sessions. Additionally, we've learned that the implementation of agile methodology, as well as proper communication, is beneficial for team success. And that is the end of our presentation of our project. Thank you for listening and have a great day.